Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Stephanie Ford. I am a senior with the School of Public Health. I'll be graduating May 1st with my Master's of Public Health and Health Behavior. So thanks for the people who are here, and I hope you like the dish. So we're going to start with Brussels sprouts. So I get them from Aldi's. They're pretty cheap at Aldi's. It's pretty nice. Yeah. So we're going to start with cutting off the ends. So we're going to cut off the end part. You don't have to cut a lot of it. And then we're going to cut them in half. So I'm going to do it and then I'll show you. So we cut off the end. There's still a nub. And then I just cut them in half. And then if you have a saucepan or a bowl, whatever you want to put the halves in, you just put them in something that you can shake up afterwards. Hi there. So we've just started with cutting Brussels sprouts. That's what we're doing right now. So I'm going to go ahead and finish cutting the rest of mine in the bag. And any leaves that fall off, keep them because they'll just get crispy on the pan. So there's no reason, like you don't just need the whole Brussels sprout. You can use the little leaves that fall off. Of course, unless they're discolored or have holes in them.
I tried to grow Brussels sprouts in the backyard last year. It did not work.
No. Don't they grow in bushels?
Yeah, I think they don't know how to explain it, but the plant grows up and it's just one stalk, and then the leaves grow on the top, and they're supposed to like grow on the main stem.
Yeah, there's a store on 280 that has like it's not Whole Foods, it's another one. But it has a Brussels sprout tree. And I always look at it like, wow, I just didn't think that that's how they grew, but they do.
Well, not in my backyard.
Okay, so I have kind of cheated. I didn't use my whole bag, so if y'all are still cutting, I'll just pause. So another addition, you can also add sweet potatoes. If you just peel your sweet potato and then cut it up in cubes and just put it in the bowl with your Brussels sprouts to do the same thing. So I like to do that too. It's a good way for my kids to eat sweet potatoes and Brussels sprouts. So I have a 12 and a 14-year-old, and this is one of their favorite vegetables. So we have that at least every week because they'll eat it. Both of them will eat it. One of my kids eats asparagus and the other one likes to cut like the tree top off of it, which is my favorite part. So I think that's just very strange. But I just put it on my plate and eat it, so whatever.
So did you say both of your kids like Brussels sprouts?
Yes. And if I put sweet potatoes in this, they'll eat sweet potatoes too. So that's an accomplishment. So I shouldn't have pre-prepped. I should have just waited. Awesome.
So while
All right, Gabby, how we doing?
It's going. It's already
Okay.
going better than when I did it by myself, because I don't know. I didn't know that you weren't supposed to freeze them first. So I was trying to like chop up frozen Brussels sprouts, and it really wasn't going great. So this is already going much better.
Nice. Oh, I bet that was hard. I like little frozen balls. Oh yeah. That's how I feel about sweet potatoes. Sweet potatoes are the hardest thing to cut. Like when you have to half it,
Mhm.
it's
Girl,
so bad.
I absolutely love sweet potatoes. So I may actually, next time I make this, I may actually put some sweet potatoes in here just to see, because I love.
Yeah, it's really good. And you just do it the same way. I mean, if you cut it up, however you want to cut it up, you could do it long ways, cubed, whatever is the easiest way for you. And just put it in your bowl with the Brussels sprouts and the rest of the steps that we go through. You just do it all the same.
What are you eating?
Okay, so we're gonna move on to the next step. I think she's eating Brussels sprouts. Right? Yeah, because you can eat them. You can eat it raw.
I'm hungry.
Okay, so now we're gonna get your oil of choice, whatever your oil of choice is. I like grapeseed oil. It just has a high temperature rate. That's why I like it. But it doesn't matter what you use. You could use any type of oil.
I'm gonna go for sesame.
Oh, nice. Okay, so then I got a big spoon. And we're just gonna do 3 spoonfuls.
So if I have more Brussels sprouts than you, do I have to add more?
You don't. Honestly, when I do a whole pound, I just use about 3. So the only reason you're adding the oil is to make them not stick to the pan that you use, as well as not dry out. So you could use as much as you want. You don't want them to be too oily though, because then when that cooks through, they're still going to be like that. So you really just don't want them to get dry. And then you're going to season them. So you can use whatever seasoning you like. I'm going to use Mrs. Dash garlic and herb and pepper. So you could use salt, onion pepper, garlic pepper, whatever you want, really. I mean, I wouldn't use something too strong like turmeric or cayenne, because that might bleed over on top of the maple syrup. But if you want a little spice, then that would work too. Okay, so then you got your oil and your seasoning in your bowl, and you're just gonna shake them up. I have a lid for this, but it's not full anymore, so I'm just gonna shake it like this. I usually put a lid on it, like give it a good shaking. All right. So we cooked BLTs tonight, so I used both of my cooking sheets already. I only have 2. So I'm just gonna use some aluminum foil. So once you've shaken them up and the Brussels sprouts look seasoned and they're oiled, you're gonna put them on your baking sheet. You could put aluminum foil on top of your baking sheet. That way it's easy cleanup. But it doesn't matter. That's just an option. And so then you're gonna put them on your pan. I like to put the cut side down. So like this side down towards the pan. Just because it'll get brown around the edges and the top will brown, and it kind of creates a little crisp. But that's just an extra step. It takes time. If you don't want to, it doesn't matter.
Hey, Stephanie, question for you. So could you make these in an air fryer instead of the oven?
You can.
Would you do it like on a roast setting or an air fry setting? Like what setting would you use?
Okay, so for my air fryer, I would just put it on like 375.
Okay.
Maybe like the French fry. If you were gonna do a setting, maybe like a vegetable or French fry setting,
Okay.
and do 375. You would oil it and season it the exact same way, and then pour it in your basket. And then every, 3 or 4 minutes, take it, shake it, and then put it back in until they get crisp as you want them.
Awesome.
All right, so now you got the sides down. You're gonna have these little pieces that are just on your, baking sheet. That's good. These get really crispy, and they're great. Sometimes they get a little burnt. And they taste wonderful. So then we're gonna put that in the oven. I bake them at 375 for about 15 minutes. So let me go ahead and put them in the oven. Okay. Are we good? We're in the oven?
Just to make
Okay.
sure I don't miss a step, we haven't put the maple syrup in there yet, right?
No, we have
Yes.
not. We're just baking the Brussels sprouts.
All right, give me like 2 seconds.
Okay.
Oh, those random I had to reheat my oven.
And so a good rule of thumb, like anything else that you bake, when you start to smell it, you should check it. Everybody's oven is different. When you start to smell the chocolate chip cookies, you go check them and oh, they're almost done. But if you just leave them alone, they'll burn. So Brussels sprouts are the same way. So when you start to smell it, go ahead and check it, see if they're starting to brown. And you can adjust your time accordingly. Usually it is about 15 minutes though. Okay, so we're just kind of waiting so that way the people who are cooking get their stuff in the oven and we get ready and then we'll move on to the next step.
Where did you find the recipe, or is it like a fan recipe?
No, so the Cheesecake Factory does like maple glazed Brussels sprouts. Theirs are way better and I can't figure out how they do it, but theirs are crispy. And so what you'll see with these is that they're not going to be crispy. And so I don't know if I should saute them. I've tried to do it differently where after I've baked it, I then spoon the sauce over them and bake them again for 10 minutes. I don't know. My kids eat it. So you know what? I'm not doing it wrong, apparently. But they do it way better. I don't know.
They
So
have
I
a
looked it up.
secret cheese ingredient.
Yeah. So I looked up what they did and basically it was maple syrup and butter. So when they come out of the oven, they should look like this. So you have your little crispy ones. They'll crumble. And then you have your whole ones. So I did this earlier. Like on cooking shows when they already have it ready. I thought that's how I should do this, but I really shouldn't have. We should have all did it together. I realize now. But you can go ahead and make your sauce now. So that way when they are done, you can just put the sauce. And either you can also do it that way. You could spoon it on and bake it to see if you could get it crispy. Or you could just pour them all in the sauce. It's up to you. Okay, so now we just need butter and maple syrup. Doesn't matter if you have margarine or butter. You just use what you have. And so I don't have like a quart pan. I just have this big old wok. So this is what I'm gonna use. But even like a small saucepan would work. You don't have to have something so big. So then this is where I feel like I didn't do the measurements right. So I say just get your big spoon that you had and do like 3 spoonfuls of butter. I guess if you're cutting butter, you would want to do maybe 4 tablespoons.
Hey, Stephanie. So I found the recipe for the Cheesecake Factory Brussels sprouts.
Okay, what do they got?
They fry them and they use bacon.
See, I was gonna say we could add bacon to it.
Yeah, so they fry them in like in frying oil. So they don't actually put them in the oven, they just fry them.
Okay, so see, that's why they're so good, because they're super unhealthy.
Yeah, of course. But I'm like,
They're good. They're really good.
I bet you could do that in the air fryer though, and just air fry them so you still have that crispy like taste. You know what I mean?
So I guess you should put them in the sauce before you air fry them.
Yeah. So I don't know, because like so they fry theirs and then they remove them and then they fry the leaves until they're crispy and then they remove that and then they put coarse salt. And then they put everything in a mixing bowl. They add chopped bacon and they drizzle a maple butter glaze over the ingredients and then gently toss it and then put it on the plate.
Okay. So theirs also is just like a glaze of maple syrup. What we're making right now is like drenched in maple syrup and butter.
Nice.
But again, like I said, if you want to just make the glaze and then pour it over your Brussels sprouts, then they don't have to be drenched. They're really good, 100% just in the sauce though. Okay, so we got our butter in our pot. You get your maple syrup. I would say that this is the most expensive thing to buy. Maple syrup is expensive. So I could get it at Sam's. And then really, I mean, you're just, I guess we'll do this. I guess a spoon. We could continue with the spoon. The spoon's a good idea. Maybe, yeah. So you want to add more. I guess we could do a measuring cup. Like 1/4.
1/4
Of a measuring cup. So 1/4 of a cup. Or if you just have a spoon is fine. I mean, it doesn't matter. Okay, awesome. So then we're going to do 1/4. And put it in with your butter. And then you want to put that on low, because you just want your butter to melt. If you cook it too high, once you reduce the heat, it starts to glump together. So then you're just really waiting on your butter to melt. And this would be a good time that, because this is a side dish. So you would be cooking something else that you could prep for or turn off the grill or flip on the grill. These are really good with pork chops. Like pork chops just go really well with something sweet. So of course, like you can't get away from kids. They like macaroni and cheese. So it's like pork chops, macaroni and cheese, and these sweet Brussels sprouts. It's a perfect meal. And I think something's wrong with my maple syrup. It has like a herby taste. I don't know why. I didn't have much, so I'm gonna go ahead and use the rest of it. So then once our butter melts, you just want to stir it to get it all mixed together. And then you can taste it. So if it tastes too much like butter, then you add a little bit of maple syrup. If it's too sweet, add a little bit more butter, just to get it to the taste that you want. It's going, I mean, it should just be sweet and rich with the maple syrup and the butter. And so now would be a chatting time, because now we're not going to be doing anything. We're just kind of waiting. What are y'all's school programs? Well, we kind of lost Gabby.
I'm in biology. I'm trying to get my PhD.
I am a first year student in the physical therapy program.
Nice. So Sabrina, you cut out when you were saying what you did.
Oh, sorry. I think my internet isn't very good lately. I'm a sixth year PhD student in the biology department.
Nice. So what do you plan to do after you graduate?
Oh, I was going to say, I want to look for postdoc positions and then hopefully eventually have my own lab. That's my plan.
Okay.
Yeah. So I want to stay in academia and in research.
Do you have specific research interests?
Yes. I really like working with seaweeds because they're really important part of the marine. So I really like working with them, and I like looking at how the ecosystems are structured and what's kind of driving diversity within the ecosystem and how it's distributed and how different populations are connected. So doing some genetic work on the organisms to trying to figure out how they spread and things like that. Because on land with like trees and stuff, we have the wind that can carry pollen, or we have birds that carry seeds and things like that. But we don't really know about the ocean. There are currents, but the spores aren't actually really long-lived. So it's really interesting to look at how far a spore can travel before it settles and grows into new seaweed.
Wow. I listened to an NPR that was talking about, like the health benefits of seaweed and how healthy it is for people as well. And then they were talking about like seaweed farms. So that's very interesting.
Yeah, they're looking a lot into culturing seaweeds for multiple purposes. But yes, one of the health benefits certainly. And I think people are realizing that more and more, that you can include it in your diet and stuff. And it's a resource that hasn't been utilized as much before.
It is in Hawaii.
Well, I wonder, is that because they probably have a lot of it and it would just be useful to people.
Yeah, they
it's usually a lot of
yeah, they eat them in Hawaii. It's and I don't know, like they buy it at the store. It's like a very well-known food product. But they make them like they're called musubi. And so it's like you have, and I think you can make them in different ways, but you have like, it's almost like a rice sandwich. So it's like you have rice and then you have spam in the middle, and it's all wrapped together with seaweed, with nori, which is their seaweed. Mm-hmm. And people love it. Like, yeah, I never liked it, but my daughter like ate it all the time. I mean, to the point where like I had to actually get a musubi so I could make them for her. But yeah, they eat it over there a lot. I just never gotten to the habit of eating seaweed. But
really think when I cooked something like rosemary got into my maple syrup. It's very pungent.
Maybe it will spread throughout the Brussels sprouts.
Yeah, it's gonna be different. I can taste it.
So do you know what you want to do when you're finished?
I have no clue what I want to do. I've been doing research now for 4 years. So I've done different types. I'm a research coordinator. So I've done different types of research. I've done lung research from smoking and weight loss. And oh, thanks for sharing the link. And I did radiology, so cancer research as far as breast cancer, prostate cancer. And currently I'm in nutrition. So we're looking at the health benefits of intermittent fasting. Is it better to eat early in the day, throughout the day, or late in the day? And I'm really just looking to get out of research. I kind of fell into it after I got my bachelor's of public. I also have my bachelor's in public health, and I landed a job at UAB. You know, I applied for like 37 jobs, and only one of them called me. So I said yes, and I learned how to be a research coordinator, and I've done it for 4 years. And, you know, I've got to a salary that I really like. And so now that I'm about to graduate with my master's, I'd really like to take this chance to venture out and not continue on the research ladder. I don't think it's the ladder that I want to be in at UAB. I'd rather be a program manager. So now I'm applying for jobs as far as like HR coordinators or kind of more of an office management type position. I think this is a great time to apply because I have the reason that, you know, I'm about to graduate with my master's and I'm looking for a change and I want to develop my skills. So it's just a good interview segue to like, this is why I want to change career paths. So we'll see what happens.
Fingers crossed.
Okay, nice. And so, I mean, you could cook them till till your doneness. So some people don't want them to be smushy, and they want them to be more of like have a raw vegetable taste. So then you would just adjust your cooking time. I like mine to be almost burnt.
Mm.
Yeah, good. And so if your butter and your maple syrup hasn't melted yet, you can just turn up the heat a little bit. I wouldn't get to like a medium heat. I would just keep going up on the low side. Because if you put it on medium, it'll start to boil real quick and then it'll start to candy. So you don't want to do that.
I think we're good here.
Okay. And so now it's just your choice. You know, if you want to spoon it on, or if you want to just put all of them in your sauce. What do you think? Gabby, how are yours looking?
I forgot to preheat my oven, so it's taking them a minute.
That's okay.
But my butter is melting. It's in the process. It is melting.
Okay.
But yeah, so they still definitely needs a little bit more time.
That's okay.
But yeah,
That's so fun. I had to cook before we started this. I was like, oh Lord, if I don't cook now, we ain't gonna eat till like 8:30. So coincidentally, I made BLTs. So I have bacon that I can put on ours. So yeah, I mean, you can add sweet potatoes, you could add bacon, you can add different things to it to, you know, make it a bigger dish or more hearty, I guess. You can put sweet potatoes and bacon.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, what if you did because I make like a turkey sausage with roasted potatoes, kind of like sheet pan dish. So you think that would, if I just added turkey sausage to Brussels sprouts with like sweet potatoes or just regular potatoes? So it'd be like the actual whole meal instead of just a side dish.
Yeah,
Do you think it would taste good?
I think it would taste good. I think that's where you would definitely spoon on the sauce. If you were going to do like a maple syrup, I think you would spoon that on, because too much on top of your meat is not going to be, it's going to take away from it. Yeah. So then you would want to do a drizzle.
Okay.
I'm just gonna pour it all on. Just don't want to waste any of that maple syrup.
No.
It looks amazing. It smells amazing.
You're the first one done, so check it out. It looks really good. Tell us what it tastes like.
So good. Mm. This is awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so my maple syrup tasted funny, so I'm gonna make new sauce. I just had to pour that out. I couldn't do it. Oh, y'all, I forgot I was actually cooking extra Brussels sprouts. I almost burnt them up.
They're nice and crispy.
Yeah.
How are your Brussels sprouts doing, Gabrielle?
They're going. They're going. I forgot to preheat my oven, so they're a little delayed. They're a little behind, but they're definitely going. I feel like I don't have much time left on them, but I still the crispy part, the little skin parts, those are crispy, but the rest of it still needs a little bit more time.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a really easy side dish that most people like.
I feel like I might even get my brother to eat Brussels sprouts this way.
I got my sister to eat them. She was like, I don't like Brussels sprouts. And then she was like, I also don't eat sweet potato. I was like, well, tonight we're going to make it and you can try it. And if you don't like it, you don't have to eat it. But she ate it and then said she was going to cook it. So I was like, good, that's a win.
Nice.
So if you add sweet potatoes to it, are you cooking it all in the same pan? So are the sweet potatoes going to take longer to cook than the Brussels sprouts, or they cook it the same?
They cook about the same. So that's why you would want to cut them little squares or thin strips. Because if you cut them too thick, then they're not going to cook evenly with the Brussels sprouts. But they do. They cook just as good as the Brussels sprouts. They come out soft. They don't come out like hard or textured. They come out soft as well.
Okay.
And they go really well with the syrup. I mean, sweet potatoes just go well sweet. I didn't know I liked them until my sister-in-law made them. She cut them in like fry shapes and poured brown Karo syrup over them and baked them. I was like, okay, I can eat some sweet potatoes now. So then I was like, okay, well, if I liked them with Karo syrup, which is just really heavy, then I was like, oh, I should add them to my Brussels sprouts. I bet that would be good. And it worked. Yeah, Karo syrup is intense. And if you don't like oil your pan down, oh, it's a mess to clean up too. So, okay, now I have my syrup. It's fresh and new. And I'm gonna pour my Brussels sprouts in. So I think mine came out a little crispier than Sabrina's. They're very brown. Hers were very green.
I was very impatient.
And then you usually have extra syrup, at the bottom of your pan, unless you just eat it, out of them. So this is what mine look like. So they're brown and crisp. And now it's time to clean up. We're waiting on Gabby. We're gonna wait to see what hers look like and whether she likes them or not. And then, like we said, if you got some bacon, let's get some bacon. You can crumble up your little bacon on top.
That sounds amazing. I do not have bacon. So where do you live? I'll just come by.
Yeah. No, I mean, it is really good with the sweet potatoes. So, next time you try it, if you want to add in the sweet potatoes, it's great.
That sounds good. I made a pasta dish with like a mushroom sauce and like meatballs. So I think the Brussels sprouts are going to be really nice with that.